picturesque Sabi in Mpumalanga province, gloriously balmy winter weather in the Lowveld and plenty of sight to see in a region steeped in South African history. Sabi is now synonymous with the start of the Sasol Rally, with the event this year the halfway mark in the Stanek National Rally Championship. Crews from all over South Africa converged on Sabi for an event that always provides for drama. Going into the Sasol, six-time South African champions Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide held a 14-point lead over reigning champions Jannie Havert and Douglas Judd. There's some interesting battles further down and in the class championships. Carrying the Sasol banner this year were Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon in the Sasol Ford Escort.
Yeah, I'm more hungry this time. It was really disappointing for the team. We're very confident for our home rally. It's the 7th Sasol Rally, and it's got a tradition, this rally, where the Sasol Fords have won twice in the past, once with Sorrel, once with Enza. And I'd really like to pull a hat-trick here for them. You know, I'm really proud of my sponsor. They've done a lot of hard work for us, and the team's worked out. So I think we're very confident, and we're going to go out there and do the business.
First car flagged away by Motorsport South Africa Managing Director Beulah Verolini was that of reigning national champions and easy Stanek Rally of South Africa winners Jannie Havert and Douglas Judd in the factory VW Golf. With a huge crowd at the start, the Golf pair were followed by the Castrol Toyota Conquest of former champions Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide, and the Sasol Ford of Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon.
Nick Haddon, the Sasol Ford Escort, kicks off.
6 special stages made up the first section of the rally, with crews heading from Sabi for the Tweefontein, Krosskop and Hazyview regions. These areas provide for some of the most beautiful scenery in South Africa, but rally crews are in too much of a hurry to sit back and admire the view. Havert and Judd in the VW Golf were looking to establish an early lead, but lost a couple of seconds on stage 1 when a 12-ton truck strayed onto the route. That gave the reigning champions an early wake-up call. The route was clear of unwanted traffic by the time Damso and Bonafide came charging along, but race cam action from the Castrol Toyota shows that the position of the midday sun and dust provided for tricky conditions. Varying road conditions come with the territory where rally crews are concerned, and Damso and Bonafide was second quickest through the special stage. Sasol Ford crew Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon were third on the road, with plenty of crowd support for the Randburg driver and his Cape Town navigator. Stage 1 was not all plain sailing, with a couple of rough patches and the awkward sun. And dust from Damso and Bonafide up ahead also made life a little difficult for Piazzamuso and Haddon. The Sasol Ford set the 4th fastest time on the stage, and they were 7 seconds behind the eventual winners Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team total Toyota Conquest. The Italians set a blistering early pace, and behind them a terrific VW Golf battle was expected at the top of Class A7 between championship leaders Charles van der Walt and Cindy Harding and Pretoria crew Barry Probelar and Mike Burrows.
The first event we did was the Cape Town one, which went extremely well. Then on the last event, which was the Swaziland event, we were going very well until the suspension broke. So this is now the 3rd time we can see what happens. I hope it's going to go well. We had a bit of engine trouble up to now, but we've replaced the damaged parts, and I hope it's going to go well.
More magnificent scenery, but an early event problem for Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley. The special stage 1 winners slid off the road, and in the process, the team total Toyota Conquest picked up right front shock absorber problems. Special stage 2 also provided a little excitement for Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, who were running at the head of the Class A6 battle in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. Race cam action as the talented Fecken lost concentration for a split second, with the Conquest going into a gentle spin. No damage done, and Fecken and Lukowitz had opened up a slight lead over Class A6 rivals Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris. The team total crew were coming under pressure from Group N leaders Hannes Frobler and Dave McGregor in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, with former SA champion Frobler back in rallying after a 3-year hiatus, enjoying himself hugely.
If the adrenaline is pumping, I mean, that's what you're living for, you know, and that's why I started rallying again. And I think I'm already a little bit wind up today, a little bit earlier than the previous event, and I think it's because there's more competition coming, and I'm just glad for Group N it's going so well.
The Group N category for standard cars has come alive in the Stanek National Championship, and Probler and McGregor found themselves embroiled in another battle with Cape crew Diffie Moreira and Dani Duval, who were running at the head of Class N2 in the Goodwood Auto Electrical Toyota Corolla. Probler and McGregor were at the front of Class N3, and right behind Moreira and Duval were another Class N3 crew in Italians Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen. Up at the service point, another team total crew, Lawrence and Paisley were in trouble.
What's the problem?
The bolt at the bottom of the strut lost. The shock is flapping around inside.
Did that happen on the stage?
Yeah, on this one. So we're going to try and find a nut for it. See if we can get it through.
Started off very well.
Yeah, the car is very, very much better than it was. It's handling lovely. Brakes are nice now. I did a lot of work on that. So yeah, if we can sort that out, then we can go again. Yeah.
The monument at Cobain's Pass is another Lowveld landmark, with the main road between Crosskop and Hazyview featuring a remarkable piece of engineering. On roads of a completely different nature, battle was in full swing, and Yanni Habach and Doug Judd took 3 seconds off Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide in special stage 3. That put the VW Golf crew into a 1-second lead, with the team total VW Golf of Barry Krobbelaar and Mike Burrows closing in on Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. Mixing it with the front-runners were the impressive Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz in the Dunare Toyota Conquest. Fecken comes from a rally family with father Harry and uncles Lambert and Ruloff, all top rally drivers in their time, and the young Pretoria engineer is a chip off the old block. Hannes Krobbelaar and Dave McGregor are a little longer in the tooth than Fecken, but rallying is a sport where experience is a major factor. The versatile Krobbelaar is also a former national off-road champion, and he and McGregor still had the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra in a narrow lead at the front of the Group N field. Further back, Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley were back in action, but not for long, with the team total Toyota Conquest expiring on stage 3 with a blown motor. That was a major blow to their championship hopes, but the demise of the Italians moved Fecken and Lukowitz and other front-runners up the pecking order, with Fecken making no bones about their early tactics.
Yeah, our tactics is to go very quick this afternoon to see if we can get as much people as possible, and then tonight, and where the dust will be a problem, maybe we have less of a problem.
Fecken was voicing everyone's fears about the notorious dust factor in the night special stages at the end of day 1. Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide knew the importance of being first on the road after the regroup and pulled out all the stops over the last 3 stages in section 1. Paolo Piazzamuzzo and Nick Haddon had dropped around 25 seconds behind Damso and Bonafide and Habach and Judd, with special stage 5 unkind to Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. A gearbox problem dropped them from 5th to 12th and gave the Class A7 lead to Barry Krobbelaar and Mike Burrows. Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz were still going like a train at the front of the Class A6 race and were right behind the 3 Class A8 cars. Also going along steadily were Italians Tony Ball and Alec Harris in the Bulwer Park VW Golf. They were chasing Krobbelaar and Burrows, with an interesting situation developing behind the Class A7 leaders. Apart from Ball and Harris, the tightly bunched Class A7 contingent included 2 other VW Golf crews in Willem Lowe and Johan Barnard, and Keith Coleman and Uwe Koch. The little group of Class A7 cars was being harried by Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, who jumped into contention in Class N2 in the team total Toyota Conquest. And there was also steady progress from Christo Ackerman and Andre Pfeiffer in the Hencom Class A7 Golf. Cully van der Merwe and Andre Duplessis in an aging rear-wheel drive Nissan Skyline brought back memories, and while they had fun, Damso and Bonafide eked out an 8-second lead at the regroup. With it came the all-important #1 spot on the road for the night stages, which lay ahead.
Serge, mission accomplished so far?
Yes, we've had a few good stages towards the end, which puts us in the lead. We had a bit of dust problems, but at least we put us 8 seconds ahead, so it's very close still.
Now, there should be a regroup this evening.
Yeah, well, it should be a regroup. That's why we started earlier today, to make sure that we get a regroup, so I hope it happens, for my sake anyway.
One of the rising young stars in the Group N category is Opel Corsa driver Richard Bem, who normally has fellow rookie Jonathan Bright sitting alongside him. For the Sasol, young Bem was partnered by former South African champion Martin Botha.
The Rally of South Africa decided that it wasn't in my best interests to carry on going with 2 new people in the car. It's more difficult enough starting off rallying, and I think we're both working against each other. It's working well at the moment, and we'll see how it goes.
The Opel crew also brought a touch of humour to what is a serious business. Section 2 of the rally was also made up of 6 special stages, with the action contained in a triangle formed between Sabi, Hazyview and the overnight stop in Nelspruit. Proceedings got underway with a huge and festive crowd turning out for a short spectator stage to the centre of Sabi. The crowds love every minute of these short town stages, but clipping curbs and damaging cars is an ever-present risk where crews are concerned. Rally leaders Damso and Bonafide took it easy because their spotlights didn't work and dropped 4 seconds to Havoc and Judd in the VW Golf. That cut the gap between the two crews to just 4 seconds. A great time was being had by all, and it was Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon who revel in these short and tight special stages who set the fastest time in the Sasol Ford Escort. Piazzamuso has plenty of kart racing experience, but was sailing a little close to the wind when the Sasol Ford Escort clipped a curb. A terrific performance during the daylight stages had lifted Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz into 4th overall in the Dunair Toyota Conquest. They also led Class A6, which is for 1600cc cars, and were ahead of the Class A7 contingents in more powerfully built modified 2-litre cars. The dangers of clipping curbs were amply illustrated by Class A7 leaders Barry Hrobelaar and Mike Burrows, and that little rush of blood put the team total pair out of the rally with suspension damage. Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aries got away with their little brush with the curbs, but for the second year in a row, Tony Ball in the Bulwer Park VW Golf got it all wrong later in the stage and was also later forced into retirement because of a broken steering arm. There were plenty of budding young rally drivers in the crowd, and even the experienced Hannes Hrobelaar showed how easy it is to be caught out on these sort of stages, with Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval taking a more circumspect approach in the Toyota Corolla. Back in more traditional rally country, and by stage 9, Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon were now third on the road behind the two leaders, Havoc and Damso. At the end of this stage, though, the Volkswagen service crew were forced to repair a damaged rear stub axle on the Golf, and that dropped Havoc and Judd behind the Sasol Ford Escort on the road. A terrific stage 8, when they took 10 seconds off Damso and Bonafide, put the VW Golf crew back into a 6-second lead. But third on the road meant Havoc and Judd faced an even more serious dust problem. Race cam action is from the Fecken Lukowitz Dunair Toyota, and it showed just how tricky it was in the forest at night. With Barry Hrobelaar and Mike Burrows and Tony Ball and Alec Harris out of the rally, Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding were back in front in Class A7 and climbing up the leaderboard. But there were times when the dust reduced the Reeks towing VW Golf almost to a crawl. Havoc and Judd still held a tenuous lead, but the South African champions had a battle on their hands, and no one knew it more than Havoc.
You know, being second on the road at night in the dust is very difficult, and you know, we get these pockets of dust where we really have to slow down and just crawl through it. And when there's no dust, we really got to go very hard. And up until now, we're maintaining sort of the distance between Serge and ourselves. I think we've got a few seconds lead on him, and you know, for the next 2 stages I like it, I'll be happy.
The battle at the front of the Sasol Rally was turned upside down on special stage 10, the third last on day 1. Rally leaders Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide had a trouble-free run in the Castrol Toyota Conquest, but behind them, reigning champions Yanni Havoc and Doug Judd virtually put themselves out of the running. The reigning champions dropped nearly 90 seconds on Damso and Bonafide when a little off-road excursion turned into a major problem. The VW Golf stalled, and while a frustrated Havoc and Judd were battling to get mobile again, young Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aries moved into 5th place in the team total Toyota Conquest and took some time off Class A6 leaders Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz. The final special stage of the day was another spectator affair through the streets of Nelspruit with some significant changes in the pecking order. In the Group N category, Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen were now chasing after new leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper. Keith Coleman and Uwe Koch had steadily worked their way up the leaderboard, but still trailed Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding by 35 seconds. Like early Group N leaders Hrobelaar and McGregor, Cape crew Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval had dropped back slightly, but the day ended with Damso and Bonafide firmly in control of proceedings with a 2-minute lead over Paolo Piazzamuso and Nick Haddon in the Sasol Ford, with Havoc and Judd a further 5 seconds in arrears. Van der Walt and Harding led Class A7, Fecken and Lukowitz Class A6, and Saunders and Hooper the Group N category. When the rally restarted in Nelspruit on day 2, matters were looking rosy for Damso